Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Transformational Storytellers show. Here we are again with an amazing guest. I adore this woman. She is amazing. Hi, Summer.
Good morning.
It's so good to see you. Well, everyone, let me tell you about Summer. She's the owner of Agami Karma Therapy. She specializes in blending Western psychology and Eastern philosophy. So you're going to learn a lot. And what she helps clients do is heal trauma, overcome fears, and ascend stuck patterns. They also create the life they deeply desire. So I'm sure you want to hear more about that. She guides individuals toward spiritual growth, empowerment, and authentic balanced living. So I can't wait to share all of the show notes so that you can get in contact with Summer. But first, let's talk to you, Summer. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Yes, this is right at the beginning of the day, so when energy's high.
I love it. I'm loving it. So let's start at the top. So you have a chapter in The Gifts of Pain where you share your story, and that is a deep, hard wound. And I would love for you to share your story from The Gifts of Pain with everyone else who's listening before we talk about your work so that they know where your deep desire to help people comes from.
Yes, one of them, this was a story when I was 13, and a friend and I had gone over to a guy's house and didn't really know what I was getting into that night and ended up being taken advantage of, sexually abused. And it's kind of been a lifelong journey. It's like healing is not a linear straight line and it is not a one and done thing. So it's always an unfolding of layer after layer. Writing that book was one of the final layers. I mean, it was very hard to put it into words because in my experience of it, which so many people who end up getting raped don't speak about it because of the shame. And so to put it out there, knowing my family was going to read it or my kids were going to read it, uh, just writing that one page little story was part of the healing.
Oh, thank you for sharing that because I do remember the process, the collaborative process of writing and going through, getting clear on what happened and all of these pieces. And I think you're touching on something that everyone needs to hear, that the courage and the bravery to face our story is unfolding, like you called it. I love that because sometimes we look at people, they share their story, they openly say the things that we cannot bring ourselves to say, but the behind the scenes is really messy, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah, and little bit by little bit, it's like we find our power. We take power over every time one of those layers unfolds. And
Yeah.
so eventually, even the memory has no power over you, you know?
Yeah, and you were 13 years old, and how did you feel when that happened? So, tell us about that because, sometimes as we tell stories, we don't relate to what happened to someone else, but we relate to how we feel because that's really the common thread of humanity, as I call it. So, can you walk us through what was going through your mind? What was that like?
I froze. I didn't know what was going on, right? I couldn't think. So that has been part of the healing is learning this, even the subtle trauma responses of not being able to think through a situation that is stressful or being very confused. So in the moment, it's like I had a kind of outer body experience. I didn't know what was going on, so I couldn't process it.
Yeah. Oh,
And now, I mean, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for my own system and how it did take me out of the experience and not really know.
yeah. Oh my goodness, that hit me hard. And I'm sure anyone who's listening or watching right now or even on replay is going to feel that because I immediately felt many moments in which I froze and then blamed myself from freezing,
Exactly.
right? And so now
Yeah,
you're
for not
telling
saying
me,
no, for what are you doing to me? What, like, stop. None of that.
yeah, yeah. But as you said, you're grateful for your system that knew exactly what you needed to do and how to react because freezing is an action. We don't see it like that. We don't know it like that in our society, but it is a protective action that your system took, as you called it. How
Yeah.
beautiful. So beautiful. And so, um, what was the journey like for you to feel like you froze and questioning yourself as you just explained? How did that affect the rest of your life? And of course, you're 23, so that was 10 years ago.
You know, in the chapter, I speak about one of my best friend's mom, and she's the one that also was sexually abused. And my friend had gone and said, you know, something happened to Summer and told her, and she came down. I was in my friend's bedroom down in the basement, and she said, "Hey, just so you know, I had this experience." Oh, see, it's bringing up tears now. And just that validation is
Mm,
what got my system back on a little bit to validate something did happen. And of because I mean, it was a couple weeks, maybe three, maybe four, that I was shut down. I went into a depression. You know, later that year, I tried to take my own life. Like, so she was the first one that just held me, you know.
yeah.
It's like God sends angels in different ways. And I really believe that she was one of my first angels to look me in the eye and say, it was not your fault. And you are so precious. And
Wow.
mm,
Oof. And it's no wonder that now you do the work that you do, holding people and also allowing them and facilitating their healing because of that person who did it for you so beautifully at such a
yeah,
young age. And thank you for sharing this just powerful, powerful experience that shaped you, but also shaped the work that you do today. And I really appreciate the candidness and the emotion with which you share it. I also felt the same way because even though we all experience these horrible moments in our lives and sometimes ongoing journeys of repeated moments of pain, there are people who know how to sit with you in those moments, and what a beautiful legacy, right? That she left so that you can continue this work. And so one of the questions that I like to ask, because it's the Transformational Storyteller show, is why is it important to share these stories that bring us to tears, that bring the discomfort in our body, that remind us of the ugly things in the world? Why do we share these?
I think it very much is to collect evidence that we can take our power back. And that I say all the time, Elena, that healing work is empowerment work. And it's not that we are victims to circumstances or situations or people. It's that we get to move through those experiences so that we can step into our esteem, our confidence, our vitality, our gifts, our passions, our all of the things that we have to learn how to not doubt ourselves. If we didn't have the contrast experiences, where would we ever find our voice?
Yeah,
We have to have the hardship so that we can learn how to overcome it and really be in our, like I said, our esteem of who am I?
yeah,
I know who I am now. I've gone through so much of the pain that created the transformation that now I lead others through theirs. It's a beautiful circle of life,
yeah,
that
yeah.
it's not victimhood, it's the victorious hood.
Oh,
When
wow.
you can have a victory over any disempowerment.
Oh, wow. I love what you said, and everybody quote this on your socials. Healing work is empowerment work. Summer.
Yeah.
You're gonna have all the socials for her so that you can tag her. But yeah, I really love that perspective, how you reframe this opposing forces in the world, in opposing experiences. And and with that, let's talk about your work because I know your work is really extensive. I mean, everyone, Summer has a TEDx talk out there that you don't want to miss. Of course, the Gifts of Pain chapter, but she also does a lot of work, and she's available to be booked to speak. Just saying, and and if you want to work with her, you can definitely do that, but I would love for you to tell everyone about this work and how eh, what do you love about it and how does it work?
What I love about the work that I do the most is the modalities that I use. So I always feel so honored to walk the most intimate, internal, vulnerable path with someone. It's like
Mm,
Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
home is like where the heart is. It's an inward journey. And so the modalities that I use is meditation, and I work with sound frequencies and internal family systems parts work. So it's a beautiful empowerment of getting to know thyself.
Mm,
So we move, and then I'm an energy worker. I work with metaphysics, so within sound frequencies of where we get blocked and stuck and how we can learn to read our symptoms that are out of balance, like anxiety, panic, insomnia, depression, grief, and how we can bring it back into balance of symptoms, joy, gratitude, contentment, creativity, So it's pretty rad of where people come in and where that loop is, how they kind of exit out.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I have experienced sound frequency before, and it reminds me of someone who moved on to the next level. And my friend Shelby introduced me to this, and I miss her in the physical form, but every time I think about this modality, I think about her, and it's just such a beautiful healing practice. And do you talk about this on your channels? Like, how do people find out more about that?
I really don't. I
Ah,
really don't. I don't talk about the sound frequency as much. One, because it's in person and it's such an intimate,
mm,
I just have kept it so like
yeah,
sacred. And
yeah.
I need to, and I've often thought my next TEDx talk really needs to be on the power of sound.
Oh, let's
And
do it. I'm in.
and it's not the crystal bowls. It is very different when you're working with Tibetan singing, the metal bowls,
Yeah.
and that are very powerful. So I know that I need to start speaking on it publicly, but
Mm,
there's already so much to speak on that I've kind of saved sound frequency for the people that I work with, in person. And but I need to change that.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, work in person with Summer because you
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
take
people
advantage
do
of that.
travel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And where are you located? Tell everyone.
I'm in Montana.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, I'm also a practitioner of IFS, Internal Family System. Love that. I love the power that it creates. And would you tell people a little bit about it? Because it's so
sure.
powerful. It's such great work. I'm a big fan. I'm immersed in it, and it's it's really beautiful that you do use that. So I just want to have you
Yes.
talk about it a little bit.
The founder of Internal Family Systems, Dick Schwartz, what he has done is given a phenomenal Western language to working with different aspects of our personality, of our psyche, of our just being human. So when we talk about parts work, parts, which I could have a little Venn diagram here of frequencies, because thoughts are parts, and particular thoughts have particular frequencies. So shame, despair, those are low frequency parts,
Yeah.
right? And parts are emotions. Some of our aspects of our own internal self, uh, you know, they're angry. So I teach people how to speak for parts, not from parts. So a
Mm,
part of me is very angry, but if we don't have a relationship with that angry part or know its history or why it's coming up in, activated in our system, trying to get our attention, that like Carl Jung would say that these parts are not integrated in the whole.
yeah.
So they're like fractured. So IFS work is where we get to meet, greet, and welcome parts and integrate them back into the whole. Because there is a part that is not a part, which is our wholeness, our soul, our big S self. So traumas, anything that fractures, disempowers, it's like the healing work, why it's empowerment work is we get to bring it all back, collect all of our parts, and get to understand how to communicate them. And they're there to empower us, to bring us back into relationship with our higher self, our highest potential self. And then it gets really exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness, you explained it so beautifully. And I love, just that you blend so much Eastern, Western philosophy and also your own healing energy. So you mentioned that, and
Mhm.
I would love for you to talk about that as well. Um, because a lot of people kind of has misconceptions and misunderstanding about energy work, and
Yeah.
so how would you explain it so that it is clear and crisp, because I know you're so eloquent and you communicate with this amazing energy that you bring to everything that you do.
Yeah, I think one of the most undeniable things that anyone could relate to is when you are sitting in a room and somebody walks in, and all of a sudden you get this really like bad feeling, and it's like you're picking up on people's vibe, and so like intuition is saying, I'm not so sure about that person.
Yeah.
Or somebody walks in and they're just happy, smiley, and you're like, you know, that person's got something I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
That's
have
always you, I'm sure.
we have a vibration that is always constantly communicating, and that's energy. We have this sixth, seventh sense, right? So within our system, through Eastern language, we have our chakra
Yeah.
system, and we don't have to know yoga philosophy, Buddhism. We don't have to know Eastern philosophy um, to understand that we are energy bodies, and we can feel that. We can feel when our heart closes versus when it opens,
Mm.
when our throat has a block versus when it's open, when our stomach has a pit. That's energy. And when we begin to understand the neurology, the neuroscience, the neurobiology, which is what I teach people for their empowerment, is how to work with sensations that is energy. And we don't have to overthink it. It's like my dad growing up used to like put his finger here just to bug us,
Right.
um, and be like, oh, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. But you can feel that. It's like, get your finger
Yes.
away.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Or
Yeah.
my big brother would do that. We are energy, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's everything, what we tell ourselves, how we feel, you know, and
Yeah.
it aligns within our energy body, the the physical, the mental, the emotional, the subtle, into the etheric, which is where people talk about highest self. That's our higher templates, and that gets a little trippy.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like we didn't have language for any of these things before,
Yeah.
but it is so natural and it is so organic. We just haven't thought about it in these terms, and sometimes we're resistant to the new terminology or the unknown, uh, culturally unknown concept. So, but I think that once we know these little things like the finger and someone walking in, we say, yeah, this has happened all my life. I have experienced it in so many ways. So I am really grateful that you share that with us. And so you utilize these frequencies, these modalities that you know that you use and that you've studied and that you've researched for so many years, and and you use them to help facilitate this wholeness that you spoke about. Why do you feel that's essential today in the world?
That is a great question. I mean, right now, there is so much chaos. We're just ramping up in reactivity and not feeling safe in the world.
Mm,
Everything that is going on with ICE, and it has shifted from like LGBTQ communities and Black Lives Matter communities, which is where we were in 2020.
yeah.
But now with ICE, and that's going to trigger people's survival. Like we're more in survival right now with
Mm,
chaos and reactivity, and it is a really interesting times that I really believe we're going to come out on top, and it's going to create order and balance more. So for people to learn how to do the skills that just quiet and connect with self, so it's less reactive, and just those little bits of reminder that there is safety.
mm,
It's to watch less of what's going on in the news
yeah.
and really turn into what is in our own home, and our what we have control over versus what we don't have control over. I'm
Mm,
in Montana. I don't have control over, say, what's happening in Minnesota, and
yeah.
just discernment. And now is a time more than ever that we have to really turn inward and connect and integrate into that wholeness, so we don't
Mm.
lose ourselves in chaos and survival.
That's a really beautiful that you explain that this way because I do. I listen to the news and panic and cry, sadness, whether it's something that's happening globally, something that's happening locally, some in news within my own life, something that's happening around me or to me, right? And so I love that. you're teaching individuals to affect the collective, right? And so I think that that's really something that we can all contribute to, the collective peace and the collective loving energy of our world by first working in our home. And I wanted to mention this earlier. I love when you said home is where the heart is, but you gave it a different meaning than the usual traditional way that I've heard before. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because you mentioned home again that this time, and I want to make sure we don't miss it.
Yeah, we think of literal home.
Yeah,
And, when we're talking about our energy and spirituality and spirit, really where our soul resides, which we are energy beings, we're spiritual beings having this human brain and body, nervous system. But our soul is, you know, I I like to think of it that our actual physical body, it resides in our energetics, our soul,
mm,
our individual experience.
mhm,
So home, it's not just the literal place where we raise our family and go to sleep at night. It is where we experience everything that is happening within our little microcosm of the earth. It's a microcosm within a macrocosm.
yeah,
And so within this web, we're all connected, but you are the universe, you are the sun that everything in your life travels around. You're down in Texas where that is revolving. I'm up in Montana, and we each have our own little solar home center.
yes,
So yes, it's all about coming back in, nourishing from that place. And then we can start stepping out to our kids, our spouses, our family, our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our community. And then it goes out into our own macro ecosystem.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, all the sense in the world. Thank you for explaining that, and it gives a different meaning to I feel home with you, or I feel home here, where we don't reside and we don't live, and but we
Yeah.
experience something familiar that is part of our universe and our internal world. I love that. Yeah, so beautiful. Oh my goodness, you're just I would say a fountain of wealth. See how I say that? Fountain. That makes sense.
I thought you were going to say of youth, but yes, well.
You too, you too. And I was thinking when you were talking about the anger piece and how we disintegrate or exile this anger, um, this angry part within us. I was thinking of uh, dating myself with the Alanis Morissette era of my youth, and how there are aspects that feel safe to come out with song, with art, with artistic expression. And I know that that's something that really resonates with you, the creativity and the artistry. And so would you talk about that, like how that kind of comes together for you?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I work with a lot of musicians and artists. It's such a beautiful place to be able to express. It's not a lot of people have the words, but they have the experience.
Mhm.
And so when you can collect the experience in different ways, it's part of that integration, you know?
Yes.
So a lot of times when I'm working with middle school, high school, that's how they find the words. Children really don't have the words.
Mm.
So sometimes we'll spend a session, I'll be like, okay, show me your songs. And then we listen to the words, and that's how they're communicating to me.
Yeah.
What resonates in a song, in a poem, in a picture. That's what they're trying to say. Hey, I get this. This is my experience too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for a lot of working with musicians too, it's I want to hear what they've created, what they whether it's the lyrics or, music that they just resonate with.
Yeah. Yeah.
We speak
Absolutely.
in ways that our ego doesn't always know how to communicate. And if
Yeah.
we're not expressing it, it's staying stuck, it's staying repressed, it's staying absorbed somewhere in our tissue, in our body. It's where the body does keep the score. It really does.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't even talk about that book. It's
The textbook.
yes. Oh my gosh. Ancient writing, but it's not ancient. Yeah, I really love what you said. I was 5 years old when I started writing poetry, really suicidal poetry, and
Ooh.
giving voice to those parts within me. And that's what my fifth TEDx talk was about. And I spoke at the University of Illinois, and it was an auditorium full of students, and then there was a line, people telling me, "Wow, I didn't know I did this." And so I think I love that you work with artists and with people who express their emotions in this way. But I also want to highlight that if we don't create art, we can use somebody else's art
Yes.
to give our parts and our feelings, emotions, thoughts, and experiences a voice. And that's something that you can help them with, right?
Yeah. And I have to say, what I find more and more, especially with highly creative people, uh, is high sensitivity.
Mm,
We would call it empaths or,
yeah.
but, and also with men,
Mm,
it's like we think of a woman as the feelers, but men also like learning how to navigate
yeah.
being highly sensitive to
Mm,
energy, which is again thoughts, facial expressions, body language, somebody coming into a room.
yeah.
And so, but in particular, anything within neurodiversity, which is highly creative people, or, on the spectrum or ADHD, there's that part too, is learning how to navigate all of these feelings and, you know, how do you even have words for that? And sometimes art is the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. I mean, I could talk to you forever, and I can't believe it's time to go. Because it's just, uh, it feels like home, right?
Yeah, sometimes you just have your people.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. I'm sure this has been a gift for everyone listening and watching. Just your presence, Summer. Every time I'm in your presence, I feel that uplifting energy. It's like a boost, of serotonin through through my brain. So I want to thank you for who you are and how you show up and how you've used all of this, because we just scratched the surface of
Yeah.
all of the adversity that you've been through, and to turn it around in such a way that you emanate beauty in everything that you do and everything that you say. Thank you for who you are. I mean, I want to cry just thinking
You.
about how gorgeous you are, how radiant and just enlightening you are. So thank you, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know that you have a whole lot of things to do, and to take this moment to share the sacred things that make up your work with us. I'm
Yeah,
so
thank
grateful.
you, Elena. The same for you.
Mwah. All right, everyone. Leave your comments below and use the show notes to connect with Summer. And Summer, what is one thing that you want everyone to do because they heard us today?
Mm, breathe deeper. Really just start with connecting with your breath. Take more air in, let more air out, and just feel how the body breathes. That's it. Just
Okay.
begin to connect.
Okay, let's do it.
Mhm.
Mwah. Have a beautiful rest of your Thursday and see you next time at the Transformational Storyteller Show. Bye.